Sanchez from Fitness for 10. He's a personal trainer, Fitness for 10 in Carson City. Welcome, Brian.
Thanks for having me today, Steve. I'm excited. I always have a good conversation.
Yeah, it's fun talking to you. And if you guys have comments or suggestions or you think we're idiots, just write it down. Put put it in that comment section. Um, so today, Brian, I want to talk about. We've talked quite a bit about protein, but today I want to talk about the different kinds of protein. There's vegan protein, there's chicken, there's beef, there's fish. So I want to kind of talk about that, maybe some plant-based proteins, and also let's talk about the different types of protein drinks, protein powders, protein shakes. So I'll just let you start off, Brian, on let's start with protein powders, the different kinds, and what you like, what you don't like, what works for you, and so on. Then I'll go next.
Well, for me, protein powders and I always kind of look at things when I'm looking at supplements. You have animal based proteins and you have plant based proteins. And I kind of separate it for that. Remember, I'm simple. I know you said, hey, you might think we're idiots. Yeah, my knuckles drag. I pick stuff up, I put it down. That's the way I roll. Um, But for me, I'm big on the animal side of things. My personal intake is predominant whey proteins, but I do like when you're looking at protein powders. Um, I do like a few different brands out there. Two of them that I'm going to try, and this is what's really important as I look more and more into trying to change the sources, because I think now that I'm almost 55, it'll be next month. I think it's really important for me to make some adjustments in my dietary needs. And what that is I'm going to try to do some shifts in proteins. And so some of the proteins I am going to do very similar to what you're doing, Steve, where you have some really nice proteins that you use, but they're not all the same thing and I'm going to start blending in. And when I was looking at this, right now my favorite protein, and you've heard me say this if you're watching what Steve and I talk about, is a product called Quattro. I love the way it's time released. There's 4 isolates in it. It's got whey protein, it's got a milk isolate, it's got a casein isolate, and it's also got an egg isolate in it. This is, all animal based. So if you're vegan or vegetarian, you may not like this product. But for those of you who like to consume this, to me, this is a great recovery protein. I've seen people ingest it while they work out, pre-workout, just to have that nice load. This is one I like so much that my two sons use it. People ask me, what's a good brand that I trust? This is one that I reach for. I also like it for kids who are in school that are weightlifters. Because in the morning, I know that if they take this protein, they're going to get their immediate protein induction into the body because there's a whey source in it. And then throughout the day, it'll be kind of a time release because the casein blend will take a little bit longer to go into the body. So they're kind of getting that constant feed through the Quattro, and that's where they get their tricky name. I do, because it works well for me, I do like the Premier Protein, the liquid brand. It's a milk isolate. It's got some, I believe the word is calcium caseinate in it. It's a product that works well for me. It comes in 30 grams. It's easy for me and it's convenient for me. Is it the best product? That's up to you. The best product is what works for you. Don't let other people influence you. Try this. And so I take that because, as you know, down here at our facility in the mornings, if I come in and I have 7 clients and I'm going to be here for 8 hours, I'm going client to client to client. So anytime I get 5 minutes, I need to ingest some of my protein. I reach for that and it works well. The two that I really want to get into and start playing with is Orgain makes a product um, that is a 21-gram serving. It's plant based. I don't know a lot about it, but I'm going to try it because I've never tried these products before. Also, Sun Warrior makes a vegetarian vegan product also. My
That's a
biggest
good
concern
one.
is, and this is where you can help me out. And listen, everybody, just because we work in this industry doesn't mean we know it all, right? But what I like when Steve talks about this is he has a really nice understanding that when you use some of these products, like these vegan and vegetarian, they're not complete proteins, and you have to supplement other things with it, like amino acids. So I know that if I start to use the vegetarian or the vegan, I'm going to have to find other things that I add to this through supplementation, and that's what makes me a little bit hesitant because I don't think that I'm just taking in one thing. But I am going to go through that Sun Warrior. Maybe you have some experience with that product, Steve.
The Warrior,
Sun Warrior, yeah.
yeah, it's a good quality protein. Um, uh, the taste is okay, it mixes okay, but it's quality. It is quality, and for me, um, I mean, I'll start with the protein powders. I have a um animal-based protein powder that is organic isolate, and it's beef, I think chicken and egg. So that's how they make the protein. And that one, it's a great protein. And I use that. I also use a whey protein, an organic isolate whey protein, which your body just sucks up that whey protein. It likes it
Mm-hmm.
because of the high leucine content. And then I also use a vegan protein, which is a pea protein, very protein dense. But again, the amino acid profile is not going to be the same. But there's some pretty good vegan proteins out there that have, they've kind of adjusted some of the amino acids and more of this, less of that. So they have some decent amino acid profiles. And honestly, I'm not vegan. The reason vegan doesn't work for me is because my body likes a little lower on the carbs as far as my macros. So it's hard for me to get enough calories just eating vegan. But my body really likes the pea protein. Now, I always, if you guys watch my 3 protein tips for vegans, I always spike it with leucine. I spike my whey protein with leucine. I spike the beef protein powder with leucine. I spike anything. I also drink um, vegan protein drinks that you just shake up and you get them. And I mean, they're kind of expensive. I even spike those with leucine. So those are the three that I take, and you know, I would use exclusively the pea protein if I thought that that was the best choice for my overall health. But as you said, I take in a variety of proteins, but that is one that I do like, the pea protein, as long as it's good quality, because you don't know what's on the plants that's making this product. That's why it's got to be organic. Isolate, my body absorbs that better, especially the whey. It has to be organic and it has to be isolate. So those are the 3 types that I take. We're not trying to promote any particular products, but I mean, look, some brands are better than others. The one you mentioned, Brian, I do use. What I do with the brand that you mentioned, I make pancakes out of it.
Oh,
And
right on.
it's amazing. You can take, some keto type, because I love pancakes, but it's like you're fooling yourself because you're not really getting any carbs. The pancakes are made out of protein and they're loaded up with fiber and protein. And that's what I use that one for. It's a vanilla that I use that works really good. You stick it on the griddle and you make a pancake out of it, and the texture and everything, it tastes like a pancake to me, even though it's not really a
I think I'm
pancake.
going to have to go that route because I love to eat and pancakes are my friend.
I will give you the recipe. And you said
Thank you.
you're a big fiber guy. Oh my
I
gosh.
am.
One of these pancakes is loaded with fiber because I'm dumping that in the protein. So it's mostly this pancake mix that I make is mostly vegan based, mostly pea protein. But guess what I spiked that pancake with? Leucine.
Lucine, yeah.
Right. So trying to keep my amino acid pool as broad as possible and let my body go in after it breaks down the proteins into amino acids. It let it pick and choose what it wants, and it has lots of choices for um, those amino acids. I also did a video on why I use amino acids, and that talks about where I give example where I stole the neighbor's little beads, those little things that you stick together that your kids have. I stole those. My kids are out of the house, so I stole the neighbors and kind of put them together. I use that as an example of why I use amino acids. If we're talking about protein, a lot of people say, "Oh, it's a waste of money." Maybe. To me, it's an insurance policy. It's my insurance policy. So I want to use enough to give my body plenty of choices. But then again, you don't want your body to go, what am I going to do with all this protein? I need to do something with it. So, but that's why I use amino acids with all these products. So, Brian, if you don't have anything else to add to that, let's talk about some of the different whole food proteins. Beef. Uh, let's talk about chickpea pasta. You want fiber and protein? There you go. So let's go ahead and start off some of the different proteins.
I think that's a great thing because you had mentioned, pea protein. I don't know if there's enough understanding out there that some of your vegetables out there do have protein levels that will help complement what you're doing and what you're eating. I eat a little bit differently than you, where I have a high vegetable intake. I like to eat lots of vegetables for my carbohydrates, for my weightlifting, because I do believe it helps me. Um, but I think there's so many different sources out there. I love chicken. Today, I came in before we got to talk today. I had probably 8 ounces of chicken with vegetables and black beans. Everything I took in was a rather large amount of protein because 8 ounces doesn't sound like a lot, but just put it in front of you, and you're going to see that it's a tremendous amount of chicken. You add the vegetables in, that gives me a little bit of carb with it to complement it. But we can kind of mix these things up. But as I know more and more about proteins, I realized I love to snack on almonds. Well, there's a protein load in almonds. Some of the vegetables, hummus. The hummus comes with a protein component. Peanut butter, you want to make it a whole protein or a complete protein, throw it on some, a high blended bread that has some kind of protein added to it and make it complete. There's lots of way to join some of these protein sources, which might not be complete with the vegetable side of things. Uh, Beans and rice, lentils. You take a couple of lentils, and my guess a good cup of lentils will probably get you about 15 to 20 grams of protein. There's a lot of different sources. Like we've talked about in the past, chicken might have a higher concentration of protein versus a hamburger, which I'm pretty confident it does. These are things we get to look at. So you get to be a little bit choosy with your palate, and you can accomplish some of the things like I do. Why I eat so many vegetables. Some of the vegetables I choose to eat have a protein pack, but I also like it for their fiber concentration. Is that kind of go in line with what you're thinking?
Yeah, no, I love what you brought up because, the greens, you can't go wrong with that. And even for me, who keeps my carbs, I try to keep my net carbs around 50. If I'm having a cheat day or something, I might get them up to 100. But I love spinach, cooked spinach, cooked in butter, and I would eat that all day. I'm just too lazy to cook it, and to prepare it. But no, there is a lot of foods in or that have high protein content. It's just the amino acid chain is different, and you got vegans pointing at the carnivores saying you're murderers, and the carnivores pointing at the vegans saying, well, you're murderers too. You're just killing plants. You tree killer. So it's funny. Um, both ways can work, but I just find it funny how, or interesting that, you've got this going on, but if you're carnivore or you're keto, you know what? You got to be careful what kind of meat you're putting in your body because we've talked before about, look, if it's not grass fed, grass finished, organic, animal based protein, you got a completely different uh, amino acid profile. You got
Profile, yes.
a completely different food profile in that meat. And if it's not what I just said, you're going to be out of whack with your omega 6 and 3s. So don't think, if you're all high and mighty on a keto or carnivore diet, that you can't get bad stuff, because if it's not clean, then you're got a messed up profile in that food. Same with vegans. I think being vegan, you got to be more careful because there's more garbage sprayed on plants and so on. And if it's not a good quality vegan protein, you're doing more harm than good. So that's on both sides. But, that's my view on that. And we brought up a little bit chickpea. You're a fiber guy and a protein guy. Well, you know what? Chickpea pasta is a good way to go. You can get it just about anywhere in all kinds of different noodles. And it's a little stickier than, regular wheat based pasta or whatever they make pasta out of, but it's got a lot more protein in it. You're still going to get the carbs. It's not something I eat all the time, but hey, if I want a pasta noodle, that's where I go for, because the protein content is high and the fiber content is high. It's pretty healthy, and you're getting a pretty balanced food. Again, I'm always spiking it. I'm gonna make sure that's not my only source of protein, so I'm spiking that with leucine or other things. And the other thing I want to throw into the mix is the type of protein you eat. If it's an animal based, okay, let's talk about that. Chicken is a much more protein dense food than beef. Why? Because beef has more fat. So if you're trying to keep your calories down, the chicken is a better choice because it has less fat. You're going to eat less calories and get more protein compared to if you're eating a ribeye steak. You're going to get a lot more fat in there. You're going to get probably more fat. It's not bad fat, but you're going to get more fat and more calories comparatively to the protein. So looking at your calories and all that, that will determine kind of what your protein choice is. Salmon, really high in omega 3s, high in protein, but it's high in fat. You're going to get more calories in the salmon than you would if you ate a lean type of whitefish. Um, well, this isn't a whitefish, but tuna. That has a lot more protein for the amount of calories that you're getting. So all these things come into play when you're deciding what kind of protein should I eat for the day, what's my goals for the next month, and so on. That matters. And then I've got to throw in one of my main staples, which is chicken bone broth. I usually
Yeah.
break my fast every morning or when my first meal is with organic grass fed bone broth. And I'm only getting 100 calories in the one that I use, 100 calories, but 22 grams of protein. No carbs, no fat. Pretty much it's just pure protein. And so if I want to keep my calories down and my protein up, that's a great choice for me. Again, the one I take is expensive because it's top of the line, but I'm getting in 2 cups, I'm getting 22 grams of high quality protein in bone broth. It's so good for you, and only 100 calories. So that's
That's
another one.
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? If I'm trying to get to that 150, 170, and maybe I'm trying to keep my calories down because I'm trying to cut up or something, old guy trying to cut up, go figure. Uh, but that's the way I'll have to lean is toward the bone broth because it's protein dense for the amount of calories that I'm getting. Two of those, I mean, that's easy to drink. Two of those, it's like having a cup of coffee. I'm at 44 grams of protein. Two of those in a day, and I only took in 200 calories.
Right. That's fantastic. And you said something too when you're talking about that, because of all these different choices. I know you practice, you look at your bloods and things like that, and I think what's important for the individual, especially if you're just getting into this and you're just trying to learn, when you're going to your yearly physical, because everybody should go to their physicals, you want to get blood profiles. You want to know where your blood's at. This is also going to help you choose what kind of protein sources, whole proteins, you're going to want to eat. You should know that if your blood level's in a certain direction, you have to make some adjustments. Food has a lot to do with that. And that will help guide you on your protein journey as well. And I know you check that a lot. You're
Yeah.
way better than I am about that stuff. But I do know my blood profiles. So I do know in my mind what I can and cannot have.
Yeah, like I said, I went just a month of just eating vegan, and honestly, Brian, I didn't expect my blood work to be as good as it was. Liver enzymes, everything. I'm like going, wow. I mean, I only did it for a month. I'm not going to be a vegan for more than that. I'm not going to be a carnivore for more than that. But that's how often I get my blood work. Not because I'm afraid I need to get tested to see if anything's wrong with me. The reason I do it all the time, Brian, is because I want to know how the food I'm eating is affecting my blood panel.
I think
I want
that's
to know
absolutely the way to go.
how is it. Again, most people don't, they're not nutcases like me that are just fitness kooks. I've been that way since I was 6. I'd go get a broomstick and put my dad's little weights on the broomstick. I'm a 5-year old lifting, a broomstick. So I don't expect people to be as extreme nutty as I am about this stuff, but I got my blood work tested right after because I wanted to see what a month of eating vegan would do to my body. And surprisingly, it certainly didn't kill me. It didn't make me unhealthy. My blood work was dialed in, and I'm like, honestly, I didn't expect it. But I can't knock being a vegan if I'm not going to try it and see what it does to my body. So,
Right, right.
from my personal experience, it can be done. Now, I didn't do it for a year. Now, if I did it for a year, things might be different. Just like if I did anything, I move things around, vary them, just like doing a workout. You don't do the same thing all the time. But I know that I consistently have to have my carbs in a somewhat low number. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to bump them up and eat 200, 250 carbs for a little while. But if I did that for 3 months, I'd be a balloon and my blood work would not look good. So, other things we can get into, if you're pre diabetic, again, we're not doctors, but I test this on me. I'm doing some type of blood test at home every day, whether it's my glucose or triglycerides or cholesterol or whatever. Um, you just got to try it. So um, everyone's different, and hopefully that helps people understand the different types of protein. When do I want to emphasize chicken? What can bone broth do for me? And get out and do your own research. If I'm taking a protein powder, hey, I'm a little short on my protein today, I need to supplement it. It's a great way to go. Um, and what kind should I take? Well, I don't know. And I'd be like, all these other arrogant YouTubers or wherever you're watching stuff saying this is exactly how you do it because it works for me. I'm not that naive. As a matter of fact, the older I get, the stupider I get. It's amazing how that works.
It's a very important point, Steve, and you can't live in the fitness world of I know a guy who told a guy who said a guy says that this is the way you have to do it. It's very, very important for each and every one of us to find our path and what's working for us as an individual because everybody's body is different.
It is. So there you go, everyone. Just Brian and I just having a casual conversation about protein, which we need to do. So anything else you can think of, Brian, or you want to finish off with?
I think we're all right. Just stay with it, everybody. Stay focused. Find your way. It'll work for you.
That's right. And if you guys have things that work for you, I'd love to hear what they are. Put them in the comment section. Uh, love to hear what they are. Subscribe to the channel if you like this stuff. We're going to be doing a lot of um, different, you know, examples of how to use a machine, and teaching people really quick videos on how to use a machine in different gyms and so on. So if you like, fitness tips, open opinions about what we're doing and our passion, subscribe, and we'll see y'all next time. Thanks for being with us, Brian. Fitness for 10, Carson City, Nevada. Go say hi to them.
Take care, everyone.